Hey Fit Fam, it is Coach Rock from Team Flex. Today we're going to dive into the Wasatch Warrior Bikini Pro Comp. And we're going to look at the winners, look at the placings, talk a little bit about the judging, the criteria, why the placings landed the way that they did, and go just more in depth for everything bikini right here. That's what we're talking about. And that's what I do on this channel 24/7. So make sure you subscribe if you're not. Let's dive in. So first, here's our top four we're looking at, our top four ladies. So we got Aimee here. We've talked about her a lot on this channel. We got Brittany over here, we got Huyen here, and then we have Allison. So we're going to primarily focus on our top three in this video because it just lines up nicely when we get to individual pictures. But for the sake of the call out, this is exactly how the call out went and what judges were looking at and judging from. So let's go here. Right out the gate, what you'll notice is a lot of differences in these women's physiques on stage, right? Like we got Aimee here, who's a little bit more of a compacted frame, right? She's got the, all the shape, everything she needs, but it's definitely not as big as, let's say, Brittany over here, who's got really big delts, just overall a bigger structure, a little bit thicker in the waist, everything there. And then, Huyen, she's a smaller athlete as well. And then we get back over here, and Allison, she's looking a little bit bigger as well, more like kind of like Brittany. So definitely interesting to see the variance in physique at this level, at this competition here. So there's definitely a difference as far as they go, but they all have the same similarities. We'll look at it here. So a bikini's all about symmetry, up, down, left, right, that hourglass shape. It's going to be created by the shoulders, which all of these athletes have. They got that fullness. You're going to show this in every pose that they got, no matter what. So you'll see a little bit of variance in the delts there. Aimee's got a little bit more of the frame to kind of match the lower body at this point. I think she's actually maybe even adjusted her delt size a little bit from what we saw at Arnold, where she, in my opinion, was getting a little top heavy in that zone. This looks like a more complete, frame here for Aimee to really bring that together, a little bit more balanced. So all these ladies also have super good waist ratio going on. They're all going to get this tapered look, right? So we can see that here. Shoulders create the width, they taper in, and that is just, exactly what you need to have in bikini. Now, looking at Allison's shoulders, I think that, hers are a bit overpowering to physique. I think there's no question of that. That's looking a little bit too dramatic in that sense. Even though she's got, lower body kind of does match in a sense, it still looks a little bit too dominant up top for me. And I think that that's probably some of her feedback as well. So looking now a little bit more down the line here, lower body is very important in bikini. We got to have the fullness to the glutes. All athletes have this to a degree. However, you'll see that there's a wide variance. So Aimee's glutes kind of really do match now her upper body a lot, and she's the show winner. So again, I think a huge variable for that. Her lower body, otherwise, quads and hamstrings do tie well to actually match the glute shape and the size, which is really important, and the waist ratio here. So overall, very symmetrical, very hourglass look for Aimee, and again, bringing home the win here. So not surprising looking at these call outs. Now let's look at Brittany a bit. She's definitely a bit thicker in the waist, but she's also a bigger athlete overall, it looks like, right? I think her upper body's a little bit too big, a little bit too conditioned, honestly, and lower body, it doesn't seem to match as well as Aimee in this sense, and I think that that's kind of a factor. She does have a lot more muscle overall, but it's definitely one of those things where you look at it and you got to say, okay, well, what are we looking at here? Where's the difference, right? And keep in mind, this is our top four at Wasatch Warrior Pro, so this is still definitely very good examples of the criteria across the board. I just like to break down for all of you out there the winners, second place, third, fourth, and explain a little bit more of how that could be why. So looking over here at Huyen, she's got, a little bit of a distension going on in her abdominals, and I think this could be a little bit of a posing thing, but also that could be a factor for kind of the placing. And, again, looking at it, she's the smallest athlete in this call out, so that does make a big difference too. And then Allison over here, we got a lot of dominance in the upper body. It kind of is looking distracting to me. Really big lats at that point. I think that this could all have been a factor. Now, we always talk about being bikini being one from the back, and it is across the board every single time going to be one from the back pretty much, okay? So this is actually really interesting to look at because you see a wide variance in these physiques from the back. It is not like the front where everything's pretty comparable. You can see some size differences, so maybe development differences, but right here, what we do see in the back is a considerable total difference between Aimee, the winner, and I would say the rest of the top 3 at that point, right? So looking here, again, judges, they always want to see the hourglass shape. That you're going to see that on all these ladies, and they're also looking for, you know, overall glute, upper glute, overall glute fullness, the kind of tie-in zone, that slight separation, and then balance of the lower body, really trying to make sure the hamstrings and the quads and everything do match. So looking at Aimee here, right, she's got the least powering glutes on the stage, right? So you look at the shot and you're looking and you say, okay, great. Obviously very conditioned, right at the right size, right at the right development for her physique, but again, not the same effect size-wise, I don't think, as we're getting from Brittany, right? Brittany's got like a lot of upper glute, a lot of very full glutes overall. Her tie-in's a bit harder, and that goes all the way out. Like Huyen's got the same thing, a little bit flatter in the upper glute, so that could be a factor. And looking over here at Allison too, you know, again, a lot of glute, a lot of size, a lot of tie-in. It's getting more of a 3-dimensional effect than we get from Aimee's glutes, which I think is a factor. However, Aimee's glutes are at the perfect fullness for this competition. She's really dialed that in at that point to say, okay, this is where it needs to be. This is how it matches my physique. This is what I got to do. And also another thing to note is Aimee's got these really kind of longer glute tie-in insertions, right? So that is something we're not seeing in this other top 3, right? Everybody else is pretty short in the glute insertion at that point. And this is really honestly mostly genetics, you guys. So don't think out there that you can really train to attain that. It doesn't really happen. You can, of course, build the muscles, but it's going to be a different look for every single person. So looking at that, though, I think that Aimee brought the right level of conditioning, brought in the right level of softness and fullness, but not like super pushed out, you know, 3-dimensionality to the glute, over development and over, you know, chiseled, honestly, over kind of conditioned, which I'm seeing in some of the other athletes, in my opinion. So I think this is a clear message from judges to kind of hammer home that, you know, we're looking for the bikini look. We want the balance. We want the soft lines. We want all that. Don't overdo the muscularity. Don't overdo the conditioning, right? And we talk about that a lot on this channel, but there is a lot right now changing with the criteria of many of the women's divisions, if you ask me, and we'll continue to cover that. So again, if you're new here, subscribe. This is what we do. Now I want to look a little bit closer at each of these athletes here. We're looking at the top 3. So we're looking at Aimee, of course. We're looking at Brittany, and then we're looking at Huyen. So really what we're seeing here is a difference in the physiques, even on a grander scale. I like to kind of compare. These would be otherwise their individual routines. Also, shout out to NPC News Online for having these out there. We use their photos. We love the work they do. JM Mannion here taking these shots. So looking at this, you know, you get to see a little bit more in depth of what we really can tell as, you know, how Aimee kind of outstanded to the rest of the girls in her lineup. So Aimee here again, you know, the shoulders are still very powering, but I think she's really kind of brought this look in a lot more from like Arnold and kind of really brought it in to say this is going to be a little bit more balanced than it was before. Really big glute shape from the front, but this is okay considering her shoulders. Super good taper at the waist. Everything here is good. These soft lines in the glute and the hamstring, soft line up here, all the way. I mean, it's just soft lines. And I just said soft lines in the glute and the hamstring, but I meant really the quad and the hamstring there, you know. But I was looking at the same thing. You know, it's the softer lines that you got to have. These other ladies all kind of met that in conditioning. However, you know, Brittany, I think, has a lot more upper body mass, it looks like. So she looks a bit leaner here. Bigger biceps. You know, you can see some veins even in this shot a little bit right there. That's a really indicator that she's very lean up top, okay, and that could be a factor for her. She does still have the good soft lines through the legs and the lower body. Everything's there, and she's got a good look overall. I think toning down the upper body could be advantageous to her if it was in my opinion. Again, these videos are all my opinion. All right, now we look over here at Huyen, and she's basically got, you know, good shape overall, everything here. A little bit still, I think, too distended in the abs. I think this could be opposing things. She could just adjust. A little bit smaller frame than the other 2 ladies in this call out, though. But that's a good sign for all of you out there that are carrying a different frame. Remember to maximize your potential with your frame. Don't necessarily think you need to look exactly like these ladies to be competing. You don't. This is just the criteria, and each athlete is bringing their own example to the criteria. Now, pop over to the back pose again, and one more time, we get to really see just a little bit more in depth. I think the individuals really do show that again, Aimee, you know, she's got the right type of glutes for bikini that you really need to see. The upper glute here, the overall fullness to the glute, the tie-in separation, everything is really spot on here. Conditioning-wise, soft lines here, you know, it shows that separation, but it doesn't show striation, deep cuts, all that stuff. And the other ladies in the call-out, you know, it's interesting to see how things can look different too, right? Because these these shots, you look at the back pose, it looks a little different than the actual comparison shots. However, this is just from their individuals. So posing does make a big factor. Things can change literally just based on how you hit your pose, what angle you're showing judges, how well you sank into it. All of that is a factor. And, you know, again, I will still say I think that the other glutes on stage kind of have more of that pop effect versus Aimee's, but she's bringing exactly what the criteria is, where, you know, Brittany's got a little bit more of the fullness, a little bit more pushing out here, a little bit harder of that tie-in, you can see. So I think one of her things probably came back to a little bit of feedback was it got to be a little bit softer. I mean, you can kind of see in the upper back too, we got like rear delt separation here, other things that are taking place to really show how lean she is of an athlete at that point. And, you know, Huyen over here, she's got, you know, everything else that needs to be there. It's all the same. She's third place. Great job. So all these ladies, outstanding example of what the criteria is for bikini right now and how things are kind of shifting. If there's a clear message from judges, in my opinion, it's that you don't want to get over muscular, you don't want to be over lean. We're still focused on the hourglass. We're still focused on that muscularly full physique, but don't push it to the end levels all the way across. And that's what we're seeing. If I continued on with all the other competitors in the call out, you would get this more and more blatant. And, you know, I might start doing some of that with some videos, is like pull the winner, pull, you know, one of the not winners, and somebody who's not in the top call out, right? But to show you the examples of criteria really with our top 5, top 3, whatever, it's going to, you know, highlight for you hopefully a little bit more how different each physique can actually be on stage, how different your physique could be on stage, and you can still go. And remember, even though we're looking at IFBB top level competitors, like Aimee was top 2 at Arnold, right? And now she's coming here and winning, and that's great. Fantastic for you, Aimee. You know, it doesn't mean you got to look like Aimee or Brittany or anybody else in this call out for that matter to be able to compete. You know, we're talking about all the level of criteria, what it means. Judges use this same criteria down to very first competitors in the NPC. But it is not to say that you have to look like this to compete. So if you want to get started in competing in bikini and you have questions, you want to try training, you want to do different things, we do offer a 7-day free coaching trial. Make sure to check it out. It's totally free. Never putting payment info in, never doing anything. It's just like this channel. I do all this for free to help you, and I want to help you on a deeper level, which I'm able to do. So you get access to my coaching platform. You get to work one-on-one with me or one of my coaches, and we show you stuff. So if you want to train for bikini and you want to see splits, you want to see how to bring up your shoulders a bit, you want to see how to tape your waist more, you want to see how to hit the upper glute, come try the free trial. The link is in the description. We have it all the time. I forget to bring it up, and I want to make sure that everybody's getting as much as they can out of what we're doing here. So more competition coverage coming. I want to know what your guys' opinion are. Do you agree with the placings? Do you think somebody else should have edged Aimee out here and won? Or do you think it landed pretty much perfectly for what we are seeing as the criteria develops for 2024 bikini? All right, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Coach Rye is out.